This is a video I did not want to make. This is a video you probably will not enjoy watching. But it is part of our van life story, so it needs to be told. Joining me today to tell this tough story is my partner of 21 years, Kyle.
Hi.
So thanks for joining us today. You might be wondering where Van Life Luke, our cat, is, and that's what the story is about. It does not have a happy ending, but we do have a few RV pet tips for you at the end. So stay all the way through the story. Let's go. My name is Scott. Welcome to Go Small, Live Large. Kyle again, thanks for joining us today. So I've been living full-time in my Winnebago Travato 59 GL since February 2019. That is over 2 years now, full-time continuous living in this van. Luke joined me in July of 2020, full-time in the van. Kyle joins us part-time here and there as he flies in and joins us for a few days and then flies out. And the reason Luke is not joining us today is because Luke unfortunately died March 7, 2021. And we want to share with you the story on how that occurred and, again, some RV tips that has helped us have a really great experience with a pet, even though he was not part of the plan initially. So thinking back to where our journey began, getting the Travato, we had Luke and Leia. They were brother and sister. They were a cat rescue. We rescued them from a cat shelter in Chicago. They were about 1 year old each. Brother and sister had never been separated before, and they were just a lovely pair. We didn't really want two cats. We initially wanted one, but they kind of came as a package deal.
Correct.
Yeah, and they were two very different cats. Luke was more like a cat dog. Leia was more like a typical cat. What was one of the best things that Leia taught us, did for us as a family?
Yeah, I think one of the best memory of Leia is she actually the one who taught us as a family how to walk all together. So we didn't realize what she was doing until after we did it for a week, and we realized that she loved taking a walk, and not only not by herself, but she loved to take a walk with us, all the whole family together.
So it was Luke, Leia. Luke kind of begrudgingly went along because he didn't want to be left behind. But
Yep.
it was we would go for blocks around the house and off leash, and it was just a great memory.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of watering holes near where we lived.
Yeah, and then one of another great memories about Luke and Leia too is there were actually indoor and outdoor cat. We let them free go where they want to go, come home whenever they want to come home. But one of the things is there's a bar that we always hang out. Every weekend we hang out with that bar, and for some reason they know that bar, and around 1:45 or 1:59, I don't know how they figured it out, but right before it closed, they actually walk over there and mail and make all this noise, and then we all walk home.
They came to get us.
They come and get us and walk us home.
Last call, last meow.
Yeah.
And then as we transitioned out of Chicago to go reestablish home base in Florida, and in my preparation to go full-time in the van, we drove them both down here, and they did pretty good initially. Again, indoor-outdoor cats, but unfortunately one night Leia just simply didn't come home, even though they were both tagged and had address and phone number on their tags. We never did understand what happened to her, so Luke was on his own at that point. He did kind of start to decline a little bit. He was really having an allergic reaction to the mosquitoes and just was kind of lonely, I would say. Kyle was flying around a lot for work, and clearly I was not there because I had left in February 2019 in the van. And we noticed him, I'll use the word declining because he just wasn't his same self anymore. So what we decided to do is fly Luke and Kyle from Fort Lauderdale all the way to Seattle. And that's a long trip even for a human being. How did Luke and you do in the flight?
That was one of my best memory about Luke too. I couldn't believe how well he did flying. We got him a ticket. I took him to the airport. He was in a cat carrying case. We were hanging out at the lounge area. We were hanging out at the bar. He didn't make any noise. Everybody come up and say hello. You have a cat, not a dog? At one point, we were in a one of the runway. Was it runway escalator or
Yeah, moving sidewalk.
moving sidewalk? And I had my suitcase here, and I put on top of the suitcase, and I kind of opened the bag a little bit, and he's just kind of sitting there. Everybody's looking. Is that a cat or is that a dog? And everyone was really curious about Luke, and we made it to Seattle.
And when we got to Seattle, we all three were in the van for about a week and just had some great memories. So Luke really adjusted to van life very, very quickly. It was him and me. We worked through his skin irritation, which was a product of Florida, and it really began to thrive. He became my best friend forever. I'd never been so close to a pet before. We'd had pets as a family, but just, when you're 24/7 with a pet or a person in the van, you get to know him really fast because it's a really small space and there's no getting off. He learned how to walk on a leash really fast, took to it. He was a hit at every campground we went to. He was a hit with many of you. Some of you got to meet him at our channel meetups, roundups, and even our campouts, our van berees. So you know how cool Van Life Luke really was. But then at the end of February, I began to see a real change in his behavior, really becoming lethargic, not very interested, appetite starting to wane. And on March 2, I took him to a vet here in the Tampa area, and he spent 2 nights at the vet, and they x-rayed him because he was beginning to breathe, struggle to breathe a little bit. They x-rayed him and found that his lungs were filled with matter. And the reason, there's kind of 3 reasons for that being in that condition. One was cancer, one was as asthma response, asthmatic response, and the other being an infection. And I was just praying that it wasn't cancer because that was going to be a long process and we probably couldn't pull through that. But the other 2 probably could. So results came back as I picked him up that it was not cancer, and they gave me some medicine and off we went. But just a couple days later, March 4, he was really declining fast, and he was in the van with me, really kind of struggling to breathe. And I was actually starting to pray that he would die with me in the van because I knew this probably wasn't going to have a happy ending, and he just was declining real fast. And that was the last night he cuddled up to me on his own strength. And March 5, he was not drinking. Took him back to the vet. They taught me how to intravenously kind of through the skin give him water because he hadn't drank water in a few days. So we were doing everything we could for this cat. The vet bills kept stacking up, and I realized on March 6th that he was not going to get any better. And it was just a realization I came to on my own. Was communicating to Kyle this whole time, and it was the day he had his last meow.
Based on what the doctor told us, we think that he should get better right away, but it didn't turn out the way.
Yeah, he just didn't respond. He was essentially too far gone. And on March 7, took him to the vet for the last time. This was the emergency hospital where he was on oxygen to give him some comfort and time for Kyle to drive from West Palm Beach, Florida to the other side of Florida, Tampa, about a 3-hour drive, so they could be with him.
Again, and the vet he's not responding to medication, and it's confirmed that it's going to get worse, and he's going to suffer even more.
Yeah. And as he lay there in his oxygen tent in the emergency hospital, it was his last response to supper, which was probably his most vigorous response to any of his verbal commands. So it was his last supper. And then at 6:30, we called the vet in to kind of give the euthanizing drugs, and got to hold him, feel his last breath.
Be there with him.
And it felt good just to have quiet and stillness because he had really struggled for a few days. So we said goodbye to Luke as we knew him, and what we have left is awesome memories, some great photos, a lot of comments from you folks. We appreciate that. We got the paw print, which is pretty awesome, and we had him cremated. Wasn't really sure what to do. Didn't even know there was pet cremations. That's how naive we were. So 14 pounds to a few ounces here. This is what remains of Luke. And he was just the biggest joy in our lives. And
both of them were.
Yeah, both of them were. So we're going to look for a cool jar. So Luke can join Grandpa Watson up on the dash. And difficult story to tell, but we did learn some lessons. I always like to look for a lesson learned that could be shared for others that have gone through this. This was our first pet having to go through a death, Many of you have gone through this many times, so you're probably kind of laughing at us being emotional about it. But what some things we learned is that there are 24-hour vet clinics. I never knew there was such a thing. There's 5 in the Tampa area. So if you're in a larger metropolitan area and need emergency vet service, we just Googled. Well, in this case, we were referred to by the regular vet clinic he'd been seen by. Again, pet cremation, you might be wondering how much that costs. I was surprised at how inexpensive it kind of was. $250. That's pretty cool. So you can have your pet with you all the time, right? And I was shocked at how much joy and spirit he added to the van by just having a pet RV with you. Again, many of you have known this for a long time, so you're teaching us something here. But having Luke in the van just added a spirit to the van that was really quite lovely.
Yep. Both of them brought a lot of joy to our lives, regardless in the van or wherever we're at.
Hey, if you're enjoying this at all or having a tear with us, sure appreciate a thumb up. Comment below. What's RVing like with your pets? Maybe you have a tip around either the joining in the RV or in the demise while you're RVing. And here's the hot tip we promised you at the beginning, which is to carry all of your vet papers with you. We had over a year's worth, a year and a half really, of vet documents that all the veterinarians had seen over that time. Bladder infections, skin infections, all the conditions, the medicines that he were on, and it allowed vets seeing him for the first time look back to that history and really help come to a quick diagnosis on what was going on. The other thing is many RV parks and certainly places where you're going to overnight your pet, they require vaccine records and proof of vaccinations. And again, by having that with us, that made bring them to a PetSmart, to a hotel overnight. And some RV parks, I was never asked for them. Maybe dogs are treated differently, but they do say in the pet rules that they need to have records of vaccination, etc. So the folks might be asking the big question, which is, are we going to get another pet? I don't know. Cat, I would love to have another cat. I think cats are so cool, but Luke was really one in a million. He was really a cat dog. So probably won't get another cat because to find another Luke would just be impossible, I think. So I don't know, maybe a small dog would be in the future. What do you think?
Possibility, but right now is too painful to deal with another pet right now.
I know. And somebody did have a good thing to say about a dog that I hadn't really thought about, which is there's a period of training, then after that they're good for the rest of their lives. So a few months of training effort, which I have no time for right now. I'm just kind of curious, what would you recommend as the best small dog pet breed for an RVer? Googling that brings up some really interesting dogs. So I wonder if you have any recommendations out there. So again, just part of the life story, and thanks for sticking in there with us. And just a high five up for Luke, and thanks for all of you that have supported Luke as part of our van life story for these many months. And final thoughts?
No.
Yeah, still pretty raw, even though it's been almost a month ago. So again, thank you for being part of our story, and you enrich our lives every day by just being out there. So with that, we say bye-bye.
Thanks.
Luke's last ride. Empty basket. That was Luke's last trip in the van. Lily, pretty emotionally charged. So sad. Such a great little guy. Lily, say goodbye to Luke. The good news is we'll have him cremated and we'll put him back in the van where he belongs. Now I got a bunch of stuff to get rid of. Luke! Van life Luke. The only thing that didn't move is Luke. Some days it's just great to be a cat. Huh, Luke? Dad, please don't put stuff on my shelf. Dad, that's my shelf. Dad? Luke, what time is it? Supper? Supper?